Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality Radio with your host, K. William Spencer. This program is geared to help you see what thoughts and or beliefs are holding you back from being your best for yourself and those around you. Your life is only as good as your thoughts. For more information, visit our website at www.ytyrradio.tk. That's www.ytyrradio.tk. Now, here's your host. Hello and welcome to the show. This is K. William Spencer, your host of Your Thoughts, Your Reality Radio. Today my guest is Gayane Avetis she's from the United States right now, but she was born in Armenia. This is a young woman who has 3 children, and she has written her first book, which is coming out next month, early July, and it's a series. The series title is called Stuck in Two Worlds, and the first book that's coming out is called Cloak and Dagger. So she's an author, and she was Armenian-born. She moved to the United States when she was the age of 11. She speaks 4 languages. 4, count those, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. She speaks, of course, her native Armenian. She had to learn Russian. And she came to the United States, learned English and in Spanish because, of course, she lives in California, second language of California. Okay, and when she came here, she noticed the cultural differences, such as women driving, there's no forced marriages, and the liberation that is traditionally the United States. She's going to tell us a lot about, the second half of the show is about the slingshot effect, about where she came from and how she got to be where she is now. But right now she's going to tell us about who she is right now and her accomplishments and her dreams and desires. So welcome to the show, Gayane, and tell us about Cloak and Dagger.
Hello, I'm Gayane, and I have a book that's coming out early July. It's a book about a young woman who runs away from home because she is being forced into marriage by her father, and she hopes to get to another country, United States, to get her freedom. And once she gets here, instead of getting her freedom, she gets hurt, and a vampire finds her, takes her to his house of family, and keeps her there. And she has no choice, either to turn or to die. And I'm stuck. I don't know.
That's all right. You told me earlier off air that you had made this into a vampire story, and there was a reason for it. What was the reason?
Yes. Yes, because when I moved to the United States very young, 11, I loved to read, and I would, going through the cultural challenges as I was reading, I never really came across a book that I would feel kind of relate to or, see anyone that might have went through some of the changes I went. So I decided to write this book and add a vampire in it, since a lot of the twins or teens, they read this type of books to kind of reach them and, let them know that they're not alone. There's a lot of girls out there that they go through all these challenges and cultural issues, and that they could either do something about it later on, change it, or they're just not alone. There's ways that they can live if they don't want to live in that the way they were brought up, then they can change some things. For example, me, I took what I absolutely love about my culture, kept it, and whatever I didn't like, I took the American culture. So now I call myself Americanized Armenian. So they can, and I thought that writing this book might be able to reach all those girls out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just got through saying Iranian, so and we introduced you from Armenia, so you might want to explain that one.
No, 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 Armenian. I meant Armenian.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I meant Armenian.
Okay. Well, I just thought I'd catch it before somebody else did and go, nobody said anything about that Iranian comment. Okay.
This is what I'm talking about when I say like I have accent or no matter what language I speak in, somehow my tongue gets twisted and I say something
No problem.
close to it, but it's not what I mean.
That's okay. There's one thing that in talking with Gayane, just doing our pre-interview, is when we speak, she sometimes stops and she goes, "Wait a minute, I'm trying to translate this. I've got 3 other languages I'm trying to deal with right now. So which one am I trying to say that? Yeah, okay, I'm trying to read. Yeah, okay, it's in English, fine." And she still sometimes gets that. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, that's because sometimes I'm thinking Armenian and speaking English, or thinking in Spanish and saying it in English. So it just gets confusing.
If somebody, if more people had those kind of problems, I think it would be easier to live life. Okay, let's see. There seems to be an underlying thing here. I'm listening to you because the one thing that I just want to make sure that our listeners understand is that when I do an interview with people and a pre-interview, I actually ask people not to say too much about what their subject is about. I just want to get an overview so I know how to introduce them. Reason being is that the human mind, if you tell a story once to somebody and they ask you to tell it again, the human mind is going, I don't want to do this again. I already told you once, so we're keeping it fresh. So, anyhow, the question that I have here, or it's probably more of a comment, you seem to have learned that mental and spiritual freedom. And I was actually on a show, another person's show earlier today, and it was just talking about perceptions. And it seems to be something we can talk about from here, is just your perception of what you remember of life in Armenia and what you saw when you came here, and you're putting it into your book. In other words, telling people your perception is you have to live this way, and you're telling people, no, you actually don't have to live that way. What you need to do is find that willpower that's within us all and get up and make a change.
Yes. And it's really, really hard to do that change sometimes, even until now. Sometimes, even though when I see something I like it in American culture, I take it and go for it. But something in deep in me constantly, I feel like I'm just fighting with myself, saying, no, you're doing the wrong thing. But it's like on my one shoulder is the angel, one side is the devil saying, no, you're doing the wrong thing. But in my heart, I know I'm doing the right thing. But I constantly feel like I'm in a war with myself. It's, I guess, after talking to many other women and girls, it could be Pakistani, it can be Arabian, it can be Indian, even Armenian. So I learned that it's not just me, it's almost all of them. So even though you go take this change, you take these changes, you never 100% feel. Basically, if you're born in the United States, you're just never completely gonna feel like you're an American. Does that make sense?
It's kind of an odd way to feel, because if you think about what America really is, America is it's the expression is America is the melting pot of the world. In other words, there's more diversion, if you will, in culture, in races, and in languages from other countries in the United States than you'll find in just about any other country.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think that's what also really I love about America, that it's never boring, because you get to see all these mixed things. It's just so, I just love it. It's so interesting. For example, this last weekend, I went to my cousin's wedding. and she's Armenian, and she married an Afghan. Even though we're from the Middle East, it doesn't happen. So it was it was like really beautiful to see like two cultures come together. Now, if it was in Armenia, this probably would have never happened.
Yeah.
Because it's here, it's just slowly it's being acceptable, and it's, just so nice just seeing all these different cultures, different, things. I don't know. I just think a lot of it has to do with living out of the land you're in and living in the United States, seeing all those all those cultures and the way people live, and eventually even some people, if they don't want it, somehow they adapt to it or take it without even realizing they took it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I actually miss about being in the United States is that it's the a cosmopolitan feel of the United States. In other words, you can go just about any place in a large city and its surrounding area, and you can find museums, you can find their restaurants, you can find a community of different people, so on and so forth. And if nothing else, at least to visit, you can visit that community and feel usually very comfortable with it. Here in Mexico, the only place to really get anything of a cosmopolitan feel would be in Mexico City itself. Out in the suburbs, in this suburb we've got 3 or 4 Chinese restaurants and 1 Japanese, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
If you want Oriental, that's as far as it goes.
Oh, wow.
But you have to go into the city to get anything else other than that.
Oh my God, that's true. Over here, it's like every other block, or maybe every block, there's more than, 10, 20, some cities like 100 of,
Yeah.
because you can go in.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyhow, what else are you doing? I know you've got the books coming out in July. We'll give the website address for that later. So, what else are you into? I know you have 3 children.
I'm married. 12. It'll be 12 years this August, and my marriage, of course, it was not arranged. So my parents didn't. Thank God, my parents didn't believe in that. My dad, after seeing that his sisters were forced into arranged marriage, he decided he would not do that for any of his kids. So, and then I have my 3 kids. The past 2 years, all I have been doing is writing and spending lots of time with the family. I finished 2 other books already, and they're with the editors. They're coming out in 2014.
What are those? Tell us about them.
Well, one of them is this one is a romance novel, and I decided to not this one that does not have any vampires, nothing. It's just what I did was took some really real life stories that happened and put it in this romance novel. For example, one thing I took was my grandmother, who lived in Armenia, one of a city called Gamo or Kavar, either way that they use both words. Well, one of what happens is this father decides to have his daughter marry this one of his friends or business associate's son. The daughter doesn't want it because she already is in love with this other guy, but she's forced to be engaged to this other guy that the father wants. She tries to talk to the dad, tries to talk to the family to get out of the engagement, but it doesn't work. So what she does secretly, she keeps seeing the other guy that she loves. And somehow the dad hears about it. Someone comes and tells the dad, or somehow the dad hears about it, that, well, while your daughter's engaged to your friends or your business associate's son, she's still seeing the other guy. So what the father does, and I guess he had a really big name or whatever. My grandmother told me this story several times. And So he feels embarrassed and shame. He's like, oh my God, everyone's going to find out. My family's name is going to go down. I guess apparently in these parts of the cultures, country, world, all the family name is huge. It's like everything. Yeah. So he comes home one day from work early. He nails every single window of his house and door shut while his wife, his kids, and his parents in there. And he waits for the daughter, hiding and waiting for the daughter in the front of the house to see, if it's true what they say. Apparently, they told him that the other guy always brings her, drops her off at the corner. And as he's waiting, he sees that indeed it's true. The other guy brings and drops off the daughter and, and leaves. So when the daughter walks up to the house, he grabs the daughter, ties her to a tree, pours gasoline on her, and burns her alive. And he nailed the windows, the doors, everything shut, so his wife, his parents, no one could come out and stop him. So he becomes a murderer for his own family's name. He goes to jail, prison, and I guess when it's judgment time, the judge lets him out, saying, if it was my daughter, I would have done the same thing. Now, this happened a long time ago in the 50s, but until now, whenever, whoever lived there, witnessed it or heard about it, because it's such a small place, and they talk about it with such a, pain, because it's just, and there's lots of stories like this all over the world, but this one, just because my grandmother was there and she always told me about this story, I put that in my second novel.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. You just kind of got me at tying a girl to a tree, pouring gas on her, and burning her alive. That is so cruel.
Yeah, it's very cruel.
Now, I have a problem with it, with the fact that somebody thinks that the name of the family is much more important than the life that you gave birth to. That's just beyond me. I can't get into that.
Well, I agree with you. I do too, and a lot of other people do. Even a lot of people in in Armenia or the Middle East, they do too. It's just a certain ones. I cannot understand their way of thinking. I don't know, because I wasn't raised there all my life, or I just am a different person than them, but I just cannot imagine, I can't, because I'm a mother of 3. My kids come before anything in life, anything. My kids are just my everything. All I care about is just their happiness. As long as they're happy, I'm happy. So when I hear sometimes stories like this, it's just, I don't know, it just blows me away. It's such a sad, and I don't know, it sticks with me for days.
Yeah, tell me about it. All right, tell us about the other book. You said you had 2 other books that are coming out in 2014.
Yeah, the other one is the second book of this first one, the Stuck in Two Worlds, Cloak and Dagger. The other one is the second one of that is going to be called Fire and Ice. It's just going to, I guess this series is going to have at least 3 books. So that's the second one of this one.
Alrighty, then, if you don't mind, we didn't really cover too much about your first book, Cloak and Dagger. Were you talking about the girl who moved to another country, then she was in an accident, she was taken to this guy's house who turned out to be a vampire, and her choice is die and be our food, or become one of us, and that's where we kind of left off with that. Well, don't want you to give away the whole story, but can you give us some more about it?
Well, she's going, as she's staying there and she's in the United States, she gets to see some of this, differences, where in her country she had to be completely covered up from her head all the way to her toe. And then she sees women are much happier, girls have more say in things. She just starts to adapt to the United States and the culture. And then there's a part where she realizes that she's better off living there with the vampires than back at the house with her father and the family. Just because of all the, she just, as a woman, she just feels she's valued. And as throughout the entire book, she keeps having flashbacks of all the cultural things and all the bad things that happened to her. And, and she just keeps comparing both cultures together, both worlds. And there's even a part when she goes back, tries to get her father's acceptance. He won't accept her, and he'd rather have her be prison the rest of her life, locked up, than accept her for wanting to be different, wanting to live the free life.
Mm-hmm. Kind of makes you wonder why some people actually move to the United States if they want to keep the same culture.
Well, yeah, probably because of the economy. I don't know, but yeah.
Okay, we came here for the money, but we're going to keep our culture. Okay,
yeah.
Got it. Alrighty, let's take a little break, and we'll be right back with Gayane Avetis from Armenia, who is now living in the United States. Please stay tuned.
Are you ready to put an end to thinking about how you wish it were and take action? Take this step to find out more by going to coachingbyria.com. And you can receive your free consultation session with Coach Ria.
Hi, and welcome back. Today our guest is Gayane Avetis, a transplanted American from Armenia and a book author. She's going to continue telling us about the book that we were just talking about before break, which is about the woman who was burned alive at a tree.
Well, that's like...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
That was like such a small part of the book, maybe like a page just talking about it, but the whole book is just an example I put in there. I just thought it was like a real life experience. I should put it in there. But the whole novel is basically, it's about a girl who, again, like my last book, this time she's being, a guy kind of forces her into marriage with him. And then a lot of the cultures out there, I know mostly in the Middle East, it's not like the American way where you go and then you sign the papers, marriage, and get a marriage license. Over there, either they just do like a church, you just walk into church, you say your I do's, and that's it, you're married. You don't need any paper because it's just for the entire, not just the community, but the country is just considered you're married. Even a lot of time when two people move in together, they're not considered boyfriend, girlfriend. They're considered married couple. Okay. So anyway, so she gets married like that with him, but the church way. But she's very, very miserable. And she's only 17. She was forced into the marriage she didn't want. So her father, who sees that she's going through a lot, he decides to help her escape to the United States. So he comes here with her and brings her to Beverly Hills and has her marry one of her friend's son. And he's an American guy, very, very good looking, rich American guy, and he's in college, and at this time, and she started college. But in the beginning, when she gets here, she hides in a room. She's always covered up. She's not allowed to show herself to anyone, not even to the guy. So they kind of, sign papers without really seeing each other's face until all the paperwork's processed, so her ex-husband from Armenia won't force her to go back. And since she wasn't married with him by papers, he can't really force her to go back as long as she's, married in the United States with papers. But while the papers are being processed, her new husband, the American guy, he's always making fun of her, and because she's covered up, he thinks that she's not up to his level, and then anyway, so slowly she starts developing this anger towards him. And when it's his birthday finally, and they have to go out, and his family's extremely, really well known in Beverly Hills, and for his birthday, his family throws this huge party, and he's going to introduce his new wife, who he's supposed to only be married for a certain time until she gets green card and divorces him, so she can have her freedom here. So at that day, she dresses really nice, does her makeup, and first time she comes down the stairs, he sees her. He sees her, he falls in love with her like crazy. After that, he does everything to keep her in a marriage, and she does everything to get out of the marriage. And but meanwhile, her ex-husband from Armenia starts slowly hurting her family, and a lot of violent things happen, and just to get her somehow go back. And so I kind of chose to write this because there's a lot of, times there's both, they come here, they get, there's mixed racial marriages, and a lot of time there's a lot of compromises, learning each other's ways, and also there's a lot of time when there's the marriages that they just do it for, just to stay in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't came across anyone like that yet, but I heard so much. So I just decided to make it kind of fun romance, but at the same time to tell us this story. I'm stuck.
Stop thinking in 3 other languages. Stop thinking in 3 other languages. Stick to one. Okay. No, I know what you're talking about. I've known quite a few, I've known a few, I shouldn't say quite a few. I've known a few people who have moved to the United States to actually be able to stay in the country. I was even approached probably 20 years ago when I was living in the United States from a mutual friend of a person that I had never met, and he was asking if I would be willing to marry her just to keep her in the United States. In other words, she would never move in with me, we would never do anything together, and all that, and I just went, no, not interested. So, for me, it was just a point of, you're tying up my life for, I think it was for 5 years, and all I can do is date. If I found somebody that I was looking for, I have to wait till I get a divorce. And it's like, if I come up with any money, this woman may want to be robbing me at the same time. It's like, no. Not interested in that kind of stuff. So, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, plus it's kind of, after, besides, it's not, people might be able to hide a lot of things, but I don't know how they could hide a marriage, especially if you're not moved in together, and, I mean, I don't know, you can't really, it's not that easy to hide, and then, if, the government or someone suspects it, they can find out easily. It's a huge, huge, huge risk.
Yeah, well, 20 years ago, I don't know how it was, but nowadays they do check up on you there's quite a few movies out about that, about how the immigration services, both in the United States and in Britain, how they just come by and check on you in the middle of the night, to see what you know personally about each other and all those little crazy things. And they make it very difficult for you now. 20 years ago, I have no idea.
Yeah, you said the movie, there's this one movie that just popped in my head about, there's a movie called Kite, and I guess the guy marries this Hispanic woman just so she can stay in the country, and then and then somehow they're never divorced, and then she decides to marry this Indian guy, and then it's just this really beautiful story. But yeah, that's what happens, and they're not divorced, and she wants to get a divorce, or she needs to get a divorce to be married, and their lives are kind of tied up with each other just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really nice story. Yeah, I think I seen it not even a year ago.
Yeah, there is a British movie about this girl that, well, she was a girl when she went to England from Somalia, and it's actually a true life story. And the most recent one is the one that I saw with Sandra Bullock, and I can't remember the other guy's name. He played in the movie version of The Green Lantern. Anyway, it was a cute movie, but it was more fiction than anything else. But it's, like fiction, anything else, it has to be based on reality. So how much of it is real and how much of it is just movie, well, you can take a guess just as much as anybody else can.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I have a couple of my cousins who they went and married in Armenia and brought their wives here, or their husband, vice versa. But of course it was legit. They had to go. They did a wedding there, and it was like this big, beautiful thing. And then even came here, had another wedding, and they have kids. But after all that, they still get checked up on here and there to see if everything's legit for the first, especially several years, even if they have a kid or.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, life can be difficult for people, and let's get back to your books. All these experiences that you've had at such a young age. I won't tell your age. If you want to tell it, I'll let you do that. But at such a young age, you've seemed to experience so much in life, and even as we set off air, you seem to have experienced a lot of life that a lot of people that even I know at 70, 80, and even 90 years old have not experienced. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, earlier when you asked me to tell, to talk about like my life in Armenia, I just kind of thought about some things. One of them was, I remember there was a time, one of the things was Armenia was constantly in war with Turkey when I was there. And I remember even though there was a lot, I love my country and there's just so many beautiful things. But I was living in fear a lot of times. I was either in fear that they're going to take, because there was, what do you call that word where they take all the men from the family to war?
Inscripted.
Okay. Huh? Inscripted or draft?
Oh, drafted, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that means the same. Okay. So, yeah, and then they were doing that a lot, and I was constantly worried about I'm going to lose my father, because there was a lot of other kids around me who constantly lost fathers, uncles, brothers. And I remember there was times whenever, I would hear loud bells and be really scared, thinking that, the Turks are really close by. That's it. It's over for us. And my husband actually is from a little, it's like a town called Shahomyan, where it kind of belonged to Azerbaijan, but it was like an Armenian town. Mm-hmm. And his family, while his family was there, and I think it was it was in the early 90s. I don't want to give the wrong year, but anyways, everybody's there, and suddenly they get attacked, and they see, there's the whole place is being bombed. Everybody just grabs their kids and starts running through the mountains in the middle of the night. I'm sorry. Yeah, this just brought tears to my eyes. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. Now, there's my part. This is my ignorance, and I have to admit to it. I didn't know that there was still, if you will, war, if you want to call it war or whatever. I don't know what to call it. But skirmishes, whatever, going on between Armenia and Turkey. I thought that it ended in the early 1920s.
No, actually didn't, because my husband's cousin, 11-year-old, was the first victim of that attack. A bomb was thrown straight at her while she was walking home from school, and she was the very first victim in that early 90s, and most Armenians were killed in that village.
Wow.
And people were running in the mountains, hungry, nothing, just holding their kids, running at night, really cold. They couldn't make fire, no food. For days, they were tortured. And my brother's wife, who's also from that village, and she was a baby while her mom was holding her, and one of her uncles or her dad was holding her brother, running through the mountains. About 100 people or so, I can't remember the amount. She was, until now, whenever there's a rain and there's the thunder, she's terrified. She's in almost 30, but she's terrified because it takes her back to those memories, the bombing and all those lights and everything. And it's just, my grandfather, who published 2 books of his own, Armenian books. One of his, I think it's his second book, he dedicated 40 pages just to what happened. He interviewed several people and took their experiences and put it in his book. And every time I read it, I can't go through the whole thing. I just stop. It just brings so much pain. And he named it, it's called Frozen Tears. And in Armenian, it means, it's called Karatat Artsung, which is like a really, really strong meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And these people were just innocent, and just because I have at least it now in my family, and I experienced it from really, of course, I didn't, but it's just so those painful memories. Those are my painful memories from Armenia.
And your grandfather's book, is it written in English, or has it been translated to English?
No, it's written in Armenian. He was when he was younger, he kept writing and keeping journals, and I kind of took after him.
Uh-huh.
So I started. That's where I started writing and keeping journals. And then when he lived in the United States for 10 years. He stayed here 10 years, and he just and he decided to publish it here. So me and my brother taught him how to use the computer at the age of 76. And he would not give his book for anyone to type. He wanted to type it himself. So he typed his entire books, both of them, and then handed it over to my dad, who got it published for him. And then after 10 years being here, him publishing those 2 books, he decided to go back to Armenia with my grandmother, just because he missed everything there. He just could not get used to the life in America. I guess he would keep saying, "You guys are young, and it's easier for you guys." And to us, every time the grandkids would try to convince him not to go. But he, in the end, he ended up going, and he enjoys his life there. And he has a 3rd book that he finished there, and he's going to send it over sometime September, last time I spoke with him.
So what's the title of the book in Armenian, just in case we have someone who understands your language?
Oh my God, I cannot remember.
Uh-oh.
It's 2 of them, and I cannot remember. If my grandfather hears this right now, he would be so mad at me, but I cannot remember. And the books I just let one of my friends' fathers borrow the books. And, but I cannot remember. It'll take me a couple of minutes to get it.
Well, it's okay. Yeah, we're going to take a break in about 2 minutes here anyway, so I'm going to give you some time to actually see if you can find it quickly. And when we come back from break, hopefully you'll have it. But in the meantime, the thing that I'll bring up here, because I know that Gayane is a bit emotionally, she's gotten a little emotional about telling the story, which is understandable. I'm going to let her take a little breather here for a moment here, just before we go into break, and just tell you about what she's going to come back and tell a little bit more about her own personal life, and about how she grew up, and some of the experiences as we spoke about when we introduced her at the beginning of the show, about how life was for her before age 11 when she moved to the United States, and how she had to learn a couple of other languages, and what she has done since being in the United States, and how she learned and transitioned into being the young woman that she is now. So, anything that you want to say before we go into break there, Gayane?
No, I think I'll be ready to talk after the break.
Okay. Well, let's go take a break, and please stay tuned. We'll be right back with our guest, Gayane Avetis. Hi, and welcome back. We are back again with Gayane Avetis, and she did find the titles to her grandfather's books. Now, if you understand Armenian, I guess you can look these up and go from there. If you want to buy them, I guess, and have them translated, it sounds like a good story to do so with. Anyway, so here we are, back with Gayane. Gayane, you still there?
I'm here.
Good. So what are the titles there?
Okay, the very first one he wrote, it's called Ushatsats Patmuchun, which means like a late story, and it's filled with really, really long poems, but from a real life. He took it from his real life experiences and put it in there, and it's and if you search his name under Abov, A-B-O-V, Avetis, same as mine, Avetis, but Y-A-N in the end, since all the Armenian last names ends with either Y-A-N or I-A-N. Mm-hmm. You'll find it. And then the second book, it's called Mayramuti Khogansner, and this one is the one that has the story I just told you guys about the 40. He dedicated the 40 page to Shahumyan, but this book is just, other than that, what I love about his second book is the cover. He took a picture of this. It's a road in Armenia where both sides it's like by this, it's between these two high cliffs, and it's just so beautiful. This picture kind of represents so much of all these beautiful places in Armenia, just breathtaking places. The natural, whether it's the mountains, the sea, or just this beauty of Armenia. Just the cover is just, I don't even know what word to use. That's how I just love it so much. Anyways, that's his second book. Looking at as I was looking at the second book, the cover, I passed by that road many times going to my grandparents' house. I was when my parents got married, they were very young. My father, who was in school for engineering, he graduated, got an engineering degree from Yerevan University. And my mother, also, they both lived in, so because my father was in school when they got married, they lived in the capital of Armenia, Yerevan. And they decided to live with me with my grandparents and just come back and forth for a visit. And living with my grandparents, I learned, I was kind of raised a little bit different than my other siblings. I'm the oldest of six. My grandmother, I guess she raised me the way she was raised in the beginning, where and told me, a lot about things. For example, a girl was not supposed to look a guy in the eye. No matter what age the guy is, if it's older than her age or older, you're just not supposed to look them up in the eye. Where here in the United States, it's like looking someone in the eye. It's kind of respect and and then another thing that I saw when I was and learned, but I did not take from her, of course, is when she was married, she had to completely forget about her family, the family that she was born into and raised, and take on her husband's family as her own. And I remember when her father was on her, well, she told me many times, when her father was on his dying bed, he asked for her, and her father-in-law and mother-in-law did not allow her to go see her father. And I guess no matter what age you were, once you were married, in their world, you're just supposed to get a permission from your in-laws, and your husband is even supposed to get permission from the parents. And so as I was growing up, I just, with her, I saw a lot of these things. and and then as I went and started living with my parents in a different part of Armenia, and I saw that it's not as much like that. Things are a little bit, things are not as much like that. And you do, as a girl, care about your family. When you get married, yes, you take both families. You don't drop yours and just the husband. And then when I came to United States, I'm like, hey, I can only take my family. United States, you have the choices.
Welcome to the United States.
Anyway, but that was my life there. But I know at the break time you were talking about where you lived and the place you lived, the mountains and stuff. And that's where my grandparents' house was, on top of a mountain, where from there they had this room. It was all four sides. It was just glass. My favorite room in their house. And it was right on the chest of the mountain. And right next to it, they had this humongous walnut tree. I don't know how old that tree was. That tree had like roots that was, I don't know, maybe a mile away.
It seemed like they went to China, huh?
Yeah. And I would go sit either under that tree or in that glass room and just look down at the village where there was a river between the two mountains and the people walking by. And over there, I would write my journals. As a kid, since I was with my grandparents, I was bored a lot. I just started writing and reading in that room or under that walnut tree. And then after that, when I went and stayed with my parents a couple of years, I started missing that mountains, the outdoors, and that room because they were in a more busier city.
Uh-huh.
And then, now I came to United States, and just about 2 years ago, actually about 4 years ago, I moved to the neighborhood I'm in right now. And in that neighborhood, we have this place where, I don't know, somehow I just feel so related to, in Armenia, that place, nature. Mm-hmm. And one day when I had my laptop with me, I just pulled it out and wrote chapter 1 and started to write. And that's how I just started, writing my books. And if I'm writing, I have to be in a, not quiet, but either like somewhere where it's nature and kind of feels like alive, whether it's the plants, whether it's the people, but I cannot sit in a quiet room with no windows or just, I don't know, right.
Let me ask you a question, because I've interviewed a few people that are book authors as well, and some of them have talked about they took writing courses, and you don't seem to be talking about writing courses or taking classes in writing, creative writing, whatever. I take it this is all just coming from your heart.
Yes, it's all coming from my heart. Since writing just always came natural to me, and in high school, college, no matter where I was, I always just write. If I had, like, for example, essay finals, I was probably done out of there in 20 minutes when it took other people double the time. I don't know why. I just had this in me, and I feel just so blessed to have it in me. And I graduated from high school 11th grade. Uh-huh. Just walked to class 12th grade just because I took my government, econ, and extra English class in my 11th grade. So I had 2 English classes, government, econ, plus all my other junior classes. And I don't know, just writing was never a problem or issue. I just was able to do it really quickly and the way I wanted. It just came out natural. So no, I didn't. I didn't take any special writing or anything.
Interesting. It just goes to show that living life by your heart can actually work for people. It's not something that you have to study all the time. That's the best thing I've heard so far.
I think that's very true. There's no and also there's no better teacher in life than life itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you live through certain things or see certain things yourself than just sit in class and hear about it. It's just so much, more learning. That's what I got from my life, and just decided to put it on paper, some of the things, and go from there. And it's worked. I love it so far.
Let me ask you a question. You can say no. It's not a problem here. But do you mind telling our audience how old you are?
I'm 30 years old.
And you have lived a lifetime in 30 years. Wow.
I have, yes. And there, I guess I'm only telling the audience today probably about 10%, maybe less of I lived. Most of them keep it very private. And so I did, for a 30-year-old, I went through a lot, and there's no, but I can't talk about a lot of the stuff. So I only share what I can, and so, yeah.
Well, Gayane, if there's ever a time that you want to express yourself again on air, just let me know. You always have a home here. It's not a problem.
Oh, thank you so much. And you're so easy to, this was my first radio show, and it was just so easy and comfortable, and I don't, just to, I just felt completely myself the whole time today,
That's the whole purpose. The whole purpose of my show is it's about my guest. It's you. And it's what you have to say, what your life experiences are, and the lessons that you've learned that can help other people that we don't know, we don't see, and help them to say, oh, wow, if she can do that and I can relate to her or him, whoever the guest is, then that can be their inspiration to do something better in their life. And this is the whole purpose of the show.
Well, I think I can say this, that if anyone out there feels like they're trapped in a certain place in their life, no matter what it is, whether it's cultural, whether it's just marriage, whether it's just family, whatever it is, I know a lot of them are just scared, worried, to make the step to do so. But I think, once you do it, slowly it gets easier. And then once it's completely done, whatever, once you take, I know, when you take a big step, changing something in your life, it's hard. It's extremely hard. You're afraid, you get all these panic attacks, you get you're worried. What if it doesn't turn out good? What if it doesn't work out? And let me tell you something. If you're in a certain part of your life, certain point where you just wake up in the morning and you're not happy, you're just depressed and worried about, or just not happy, it's never going to be happy for you. You just have to make that, and it just gets better. It really does. And I know there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there that say that it just gets better. And one example, okay, I just keep bringing all this cultural, well, this one's not cultural. You know how in the beginning I said that most Armenians are Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So my family is Christian, and it was really strict Christian. My parents did not allow me to wear pants. I was not allowed to cut my hair. I was not allowed to wear makeup. I was not allowed to date. I had to date my husband secretly. Well, talk to him mostly on the phone.
Yeah.
And tell him secretly from my, parents. It was just not allowed. And I hated it that I was not allowed to wear pants. I was going in school, in America. I couldn't wear pants. I couldn't wear makeup. I couldn't go to my prom. Anyway, so finally one day I just put my foot down. I'm like, you know what? I can't, when I was older, not, 18, when I was 18. And then I told my dad, well, I'm getting married. And then after that, I just put my foot down, changed everything. In the beginning, it was challenges from a lot of sides. I lost friends. I lost, sometimes family members, but, family members, I always got it back because eventually they saw it, they understood, and they saw my change, and they started doing it too. I can honestly tell you, like, at least 50 people or more who were constantly talking down on me because I was wearing pants and putting makeup on. Now they're doing way more than me. And if I could go back, I probably would have started wearing pants the day I got to America. And so, I mean, it's just this, I know it's these little things, but they make a huge difference later on in your life. You just become a happier person and more independent. I don't know, just in so many ways.
There's two things that you made me think of while you were talking about that, and I'm going to let you continue on in a moment. There's one that I just saw. This is not the first time I've seen this. I've seen it many times because Albert Einstein is one of my favorite people to study and to quote. But this expression from him, or quotation from him, says, "Those who have never made a mistake have never tried anything new." So,
I agree with that. That's very true.
Because you're talking about it right now, and it's like, yeah, you made your mistakes, but you found out, even as Thomas Edison says, I didn't have 1,000 failures. I just learned 1,000 ways that it doesn't work. So, it's life is not just a bowl of cherries without pits. You got pits, they got seeds, they got stems, and you have to understand that to do anything new means that it's a trial and error for you, because new means you've never done it before. If it's not new, it's something you've done before.
That's true.
So the other thing that we were just talking about on the show that I was invited to be on today was, I ended up with a closing remark, and we always hear this expression, you can't change the world. But yes, you can. It's a little bit at a time, and you just got through saying it. If you want to change the world, you have to change yourself first. And when you do it, people start questioning, what is he or she doing? Wow. Oh, it's okay to do this. Hey, that makes sense. And that expression in your life, just you living your life, brings about the change. So,
yes,
kudos to you, definitely.
Thank you. That's very true. And like you said, no matter where it is or what it is, it's just, if you just feel you need to make a change in your life to be happy, why not go for it? If you're not hurting anyone and it's your life, I decide it's my life. I should live the way I want. I should wear what I want. I should have the friends that I want. I was not allowed to have, the reason I said I should have friends, I wasn't allowed to have friends that were not Christians. And, I love my parents to death, but I couldn't understand until today. I can't. And, there's just, you should just have the way you want. It's just too short, and, just enjoy every moment, and your family, your kids, without being worried about from the side what anyone else is just saying or thinking. Because in the end, the family name or what other people say or think, it doesn't matter. It's just you. When you go from this life, it's what you experience and what you take with you, not them. That's the way I see myself, and I constantly tell my siblings that. They're younger than me. They have it so much easier, though. But,
When I was much younger, I'll tell you two quickie stories. When I was much younger, I was 15 years old, I was in a school. My mother insisted that I went to a parochial school. And the thoughts back then, I don't know if it still goes on because I'm not a part of that religious group anymore, but the thoughts back then were pretty much what you just got through saying. You can't have friends that are outside of our belief system or whatever. And that used to bother me. It was like I couldn't understand. So I thought I had an ulcer, which I wasn't ever told that I had an ulcer. I think my doctor actually just gave me placebos and says, here, take this pill 15 minutes before each meal. One day at school, I was at the water fountain 15 minutes before lunch taking this pill. And I stood there going, why the heck am I taking these pills? And it dawned on me right away that it was peer pressure. In other words, if I don't obey the rules that somebody is giving me, I can't be happy in my life. Now, I didn't live in a neighborhood where there was nothing but the same people of the same belief. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? Just close myself up into the house and just don't talk to anybody? Didn't make sense to me. So I finally just said, the people that I hang out with that are outside of my religious group, they are nice people. Their parents were nice people. As a matter of fact, some of these people were actually nicer than some of the people that I was supposed to be hanging out with. So I finally decided, look, I'm just going to accept people on their own basis, on their own personal basis. Do I like you? Yes, okay. If I don't like you, okay, I can respect you, but from a distance. And that's what I learned to do with people. It's just accept them. And I stopped taking the medication. Never had a problem with it since. It's just one of those things. You just have to learn to accept people for who they are and understand that, as my mother would always say, well, people say this and people say that, and I first go, who are they? And second thing is, I always tell her, is just this to go along with what you were saying, because I've been saying this to my mother for years. Listen, I am responsible for me, even as an adult in the real world. And if you want to talk about this in the spiritual world, you can do the same thing. I am responsible for me. If I do something wrong in the land that I live in, I am the one that stands before the judge. Not you, not Dad, not anybody else. Me. I'm an adult now. So I have to stand up for what I have done and what I believe and what I do. The same thing that goes, if I have to stand before God, I have to stand there on my own and go, I did this, and here's the reason why. Because I'm the one that's going to reap the benefits or suffer the cost for being wrong, not you.
That's very true, very true. Yeah, that's true. Well, who are the other people? It's just your life, and, you should be able to, have the friends you want.
Indeed. So I agree with you. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you're not, we're talking about physically and as well as emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever. You're not stopping anybody from being who they are and want to be. You're not influencing anybody to be a bad person. Yes, by all means, live your life.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah, as long as you're not harm to anyone or yourself, why those are little things I just, to probably to a lot of people, but to people who live, it's really a lot of struggle and stress, and it's not worth it.
Yeah, even at my age, I still have problems with family that don't understand me and understand why I do the things that I do. But in that one respect, it can be difficult. But on the other side, I have learned to accept my freedom as, well, hey, there's a few billion people in the world, so okay, I can find my new family out there someplace. So I enjoy it that way. Listen, Gayane, pardon me. We are coming close to the end of the show here, so I just want to ask, do you have anything that you would like to say, or should say continue to say, because you said a lot today, especially in your books, and I know you have a website that's coming up to be open on the internet pretty soon. If you have a website address, by all means give that. And of course, you have an open invitation to come back here and do another show, or if I get into doing my little video shorts, we can get on there and talk about one subject for about 10 to 20 minutes. So anyway, do you have anything that you would like to say in closing?
Well, thank you so much. I will definitely come back in the future. And this was really, really, really nice. Yes, I do have a website that is going to be up within 7 to 10 days. It's my pen name, which is G Avetis, GAVETIS.com. And over there you can get all the information where you would be able to buy the book, and if you have any questions, you can always, get my email there and email me. And the book will, once the books are out, the one for sure place I know it'll be available right now is Amazon, and there's a lot of other places, but Amazon for sure, you'll find it right away. And again, the book is called Stuck in Two Worlds, Cloak and Dagger, and it's it just basically describes it's a romance novel, but it has a lot of cultural things, and few of the people who I got a lot of great feedback, and I cannot others to read it, and feel free to give me feedback on my website, or you can also follow me on Twitter. It's Gayanes09, or on Instagram, Gayane, Gayane 0914. I look forward to hearing from all my readers.
That's wonderful. I don't know if I could become an author if I had to do that one, but okay. Gayane, thank you very much for being here. And thanks to you for everyone for being here and listening to Gayane. And I hope you do follow her, contact her if you feel so impressed to do so. And look forward to having her on the show and maybe even on the shorts in the future. Thanks again for everyone, and especially for you, Gayane. Take care and be well.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us here on Your Thoughts, Your Reality Radio. Please make a note to join us again on our next broadcast. For more information, visit our website at www.ytyrradio.tk. That's www.ytyrradio.tk. Our theme music is Soul Controlled by B.O. Crew under a Creative Commons License 3.0. See our website for more information.